Moment, Oli Ray píše lol, nestopuj to jak checkout, ty dědo. Drž hubu, nebo jediný, u koho se zastavím, bude tvoje máma. Chápeš? Jakože, no to je jedno.
Je to extrémně funny a navíc jsou tam reference na Toda. LULV.
Ok, jak jestli je to funny, tak se na to podívám. Máš cukrovku, tak máš žízeň.
Ahoj Iveto, jak se dneska máš?
No nevím, vole. Cyberpunked 2077. Moje oblíbená videohra.
This video is sponsored by Displate.
Kdo by si kurva koupil takovejhle plagát na stěnu? Takovýhle velikosti. Proč mám takovou žížu, Vape Nation? Čili já jsem neměl joint, tady mám.
Over the last few decades, open world games have made incredible strides.
Já to ochladím. Ty vole, no jako progres, který končí Death Strandingem, nevím, jestli je úplně dobrý progres, open world her, ale OK.
Generation, the worlds get bigger, the graphics better, the content richer. As computing power absolutely rocketed, open world games blazed the path for how it could be put to use. And by 2013, games were recreating cities like LA and San Francisco in jaw-dropping.
V roce 2013 nevyšla žádná zásadní hra.
These games were the future, and that future was looking great.
Ty vole, GTA a Thanos v jednom záběru mě asi explodují mé bedče z brýle.
See, the promises kept getting bigger. The trailers more and more improved.
Yo, my promises keep getting bigger. That's cause Jesus Christ is my...
Impressive. But when it came to the actual games, well, something was off. Destiny looked amazing. But then its entire story was gouged out and repackaged as paid DLC.
Ježiši, první Destiny.
No Man's Sky looked incredible.
$500 milionů stálo první Destiny. Čili můžu prostě poprosit o jednu tučnou salvu. Lulv, že první Destiny v den vydání prostě stálo $500 milionů, než ta hra vyšla. A pak si to hrál a zjistil si, že tam není konec.
But when it launched, every trailer turned out to be an outright lie. Okay,
always has
at
been.
least we still have Mass Effect.
Nah.
Jesus Christ. The tech was improving, but the games somehow seemed to be getting worse.
První Destiny stálo 1 měsíc tvých reklam, držte píču.
Gamers were left famished.
Čiže uvědomujete si, že za posledních 5 let vyšlo víc špatných open world her než těch dobrých?
It's early 2015.
To je docela maras.
For the last few years, Todd Howard and the boys at Bethesda had been absolutely smashing sales.
Moje oblíbená videohra, doslova, která je tak influential, že inspirovala celý Dark Souls.
And raking in hundreds of Game of the Year awards in the process. Todd had built an open world empire.
Todd je psáno s Omega Lulem. Kámo, každý, kdo je na Twitchi, píše Todd s Omega Lulem. Kdo ho napíše s normálním očkem, je prostě normík a nevím, co tady dělá. Ty máš taky víc horších streamů než těch dobrých. OK, chat, musí být všechno obrácený proti mně.
Připomněl, že se poslat nějaké ty korunky za kvalitní zábavu.
Děkuju ti, příteli, děkuju.
He was finishing up his next blockbuster game, Fallout 4.
O můj bože, na to jsem měl kolektorku.
However, at the same time, a relatively obscure developer based in Poland.
Ne, prosím, neříkám, že tam bude Indie Jam z Polska. Nenápadná indie videohra, o které slyšelo pouze pár věrných.
Was doing the same thing. For the last few months, CD Projekt Red had been putting the finishing touches on the third installment of their open world fantasy series. It had been 3.5 years of blood, sweat and tears, but now things were finally wrapping up. And in May 2015, The Witcher 3 is set to release. CD Projekt Red's management sits round. Review copies had been sent out a few weeks prior, and the reviews were expected at any moment. The suspense was palpable. But eventually, the reviews come in, and the game is absolutely staggering.
Oh můj bože, mám chills.
Across the board, and the game flies off shelves everywhere. Millions of dollars of profits are conjured almost instantly. Management is euphoric.
Nebudu lhát, když jsem viděl prostě recenzi Angry Joea, kde řekl, že Zaklínač 3 je fucking masterpiece a dal tomu 10 z 10, hnedka z fleku na začátku recenze, tak jsem měl husinu.
Impressive. But wait, we have a game too, and the massively anticipated Fallout 4 is released a few months later. It does very well, and also gets raving reviews.
Hele jo, prostě tady lítají ty bankovky z toho Skyrimu, mně tady lítají ty bankovky z obrazovky. Moment, Oli Ray píše lol, nestopuj to jak čekal, ty dědo. Drž hubu, nebo jediný, u koho se zastavím, bude tvoje máma. Chápeš? Jakože, no to je jedno. Každopádně dejte lidi za litříček. Dej jim reklamu, jinak budeš zase na Prima News, že už jsi tak bohatý, že odmítáš reklamy. No to jsem, no. Děkuji ti, dejte za obrovskou částku, Kristýk, za ty 2 kilča.
2015's Game Awards are tense. Game devs from all around the world are sat down.
Pane bože, to je ten sápek, co koupil Twitter. Můj bože, to je on, to je actual on. Podívejte se, můj bože, on koupil Twitter, protože viděl Zaklínače 3 potvrzeno.
Sat down, anxiously waiting for the big one. Game of the Year. Todd had won the majority of the Game of the Year awards for the last 4 games he directed, and he was keen to win them for this one too.
No, I don't think so
today. Hours of obscure awards. But eventually, Game of the Year is announced.
The Witcher 3.
In fact, it ends the year winning the most Game of the Year awards ever. Bethesda's streak of wins burned to ashes. Todd was furious. Put the gun down, Todd. And while the rest of the industry turns to repackaging free mods into paid DLC, enormous graphical downgrades, and literal lies about their games and trailers, CD Projekt Red gets to work on 2 massive expansion packs, big enough to be a whole game of their own. And turns out, they're half the
Bylo tam americké psychomemísek, dávám like.
Price of Fallout 4's. Also,
Fallout 4 Season Pass byl za...
Also, did someone say free DLC? People
Ne, asi může se nechat oholit zadarmo.
Move after move, everything CD Projekt did was just right. After 28 years in the business, they'd finally made it.
Nejoblíbenější videohra Hidden Gem Masterpiece. Ale potom vyšla nová hra. A moje přátelství s CD Projektem bylo utnuto.
Fans of the studio rushed to see their next project. Another Witcher? No. A different fantasy franchise? Also no. Eventually, they find themselves on a video uploaded a couple of years prior.
Kurva, dost, vole.
Cyberpunk 2077. A teaser trailer for CD Projekt Red's next game.
Hele jo, pekli to skoro 10 let, tak to musí být
Details
masterpiece,
on
ne?
it are sparse, but here's what we know. It was more ambitious than The Witcher 3 on every single front.
No jasně, že
It
jo.
was basically a futuristic RPG version of GTA. Sign me up. The release date? Well, when it was ready. Okay. So people wait. And wait. And wait. It's now 2017. And after 2 years of waiting, there's still no word. And the game, along with the studio, drifts back
Já furt
into
nemám tu
obscurity.
sošku, ty borky, co má ty mantis blady.
But finally, in 2018, we get something did instantly. But not for long. Turns out, Todd is also at E3, and he has a little something to show off. Fallout 76.
Ne, asi.
The first multiplayer Bethesda Game Studios
prosím.
RPG ever made. And it was launching in just a few months. Todd's promises were impressive. Sorry CD Projekt,
Prosím.
but there was only one thing to do. And after months of excitement, in November 2018, Fallout 76 goes live.
Já jsem si například nepředobjednal Fallout 76, OK, chlapci? Jo, já nepropadnu takovýhle easy prostě reklamní kampani. Já nejsem dementní hráč, jako vy všichni ostatní. Já nejsem hnanej pouze hypem a nehraju každou sračku jenom protože vyšla.
Didn't quite live up to the hype. Tales of missing Candace bags,
Drž.
exploit.
Kurva, a dost do hajzlu. Nejhorší je, že já tu kolektorku doslova měl, kurva. Doslova jsem tu kolektor... což je ten steelbook nějaký ty Tri-Essential Edition. No. To všude byli.
Kde to je?
Kde to je? 20, ale to stejný.
Tam byli prostě panáčci, tak to mě poser. Kde je ta skurvená taška?
Warning.
Kde je ta taška?
General. Samozřejmě, co musíme zkusit, že jo?
Bobe tady je.
Na své CT, na ten chicken loot, rozumíš? Když procházíš tu West Virginii a všechny ty skrepy tam kradeš, tak prostě... Takhle...
Čum na to.
Jdeš a takhle vypadá Fallout 76 gameplay. Piu, zastřelíš zmrda, padne z něj power armor. Moje nyní, joinkers. A mizím, píčo, a zde...
Ty vole, ta skurvená taška.
Canvas bags, scuffed merchandise, exploits, and a literal horde of bugs flood online forums and Reddit almost the second the game launches. YouTubers jump on the
Já nemám tu helmu, já jsem to dal tu kolektorku bratrovi, on je velký Fallout fanoušek, ne?
Patches that were almost bigger than the size of the actual game, but they never stood a chance. A god had fallen.
O můj bože, Han Solo umřel.
Gamers mourned their death for months, but at this point, open world game developers were dropping like flies. Rockstar had ditched GTA's single-player DLC to sell flying cars and laser guns to 10-year-olds in GTA.
Jako sorry, ale ty vole, tohle byl objektivně prostě finančně mnohem lepší plán.
Online. BioWare's games had regressed about a decade, and something at Bethesda had clearly gone horribly wrong. CD Projekt was the only developer people had left, and they put their full faith in them to deliver on Cyberpunk 2077. And CDPR aimed to do just that. In August 2018,
nezdravé
they
úrovně
dropped a
hypeu.
50-minute demo of the game, alongside a sea of articles and press releases.
Co by se mohlo stát?
Looks mind-blowing.
Já to ochladím.
Non-linear missions with tons of choices and branching endings. A game world and storyline.
Čet, hele jo, já třeba jsem nebyl jeden z těch tupců, který jenom slepě věřili, jo, že to bude masterpiece, že to bude videoherní prostě restart, jo. To je ta super věc. To je ta super věc, že já jsem nebyl jeden z těch dementů, který se prostě nechávají nachytat na tadyhle ten hype. A za to jsem tak rád. Protože ještě vem si, jak bych byl kurva zklamaný z toho Cyberpunku, kdybych jak úplnej píčus si objednal 3 kolektorky, byl na to nahypovaný nebo něco.
Samurai. We have a city to burn.
Hovno! To ti jebe! Kámo, děláš si prdel! No tak to ne! Čer, jako, ale jo, je vidět, že celkem jasně mě ta hra moc nebavila a ani ta marketingová kampaň, jo, mě prostě nebavila.
That reacts to your actions. Complex community and crowd systems that would make for the most believable city in an open world.
Díky Mikey si za 11, Oli Rejdík za novýho, děkuju.
Player backstories with far-reaching campaign consequences.
Co tam bylo? Já no jo, vlastně ono to ovlivnilo jenom ty první 2 hodiny.
In-depth wanted system and corrupt police. Wall running. Over 1000 NPCs with their own routines. An online multiplayer added post-launch. And
multiplayer, ty vole. Multiplayer a 2 velký příběhový rozšíření. Oh boy, už se nemohu dočkat. Kdyby jeli stejným tempem jako Zaklínač 3, tak už teď by mělo vyjít někde touhle dobou o víně a krvi.
Available on every current platform, including Xbox One and PS4. Things were shaping up great. But fast forward a few months, and at E3 2019, the final bombshell drops.
Prosím.
Hail to the king, baby. We have a city to burn.
CD Projekt Red had created something incredible. The graphics were borderline photorealistic, the city utterly immersive. Even Poland's own government were hyped. Even
polská vláda byla hypnutá. Techland získává 27 milionů grant na
Cyberpunk, já to mrdám. Ty vole, víte, co si říkají Poláci? Proč jsme za to radši nenakoupili plyn do zásoby?
Poland's own government were hyped. It was to be the first quadruple A game, people said. And we'd be able to jump in on April the 16th, 2020. The hype was monumental. Before we get onto that, your room. Are those walls empty? My God. Hold on. What's that? A high-quality metal poster for a reasonable price?
Moje oblíbené investiční fórum.
This plate specializes in one thing. Posters. Posters, posters, posters. 1.4 million different posters.
Mají tam nějaký tool plagáty? Jako víš co, protože já už se směřuju s tím, že dostanu přes píču na tom koncertu.
Don't have a picture hook? Not a problem. Because displays use magnets.
Co?
Scrub wool. Wait 10 minutes. Sticker on wool. Display on sticker. It's that easy.
Oh můj bože.
Super fast delivery. Countless designs. And a tree planted in Africa after every purchase.
Nikoho to nezajímá, kurva. Dřevotřísko, tady je keky naplněné, 20-minutové video a ty prostě nejsi schopný se podívat na funny reklamu. Lidi jako ty by nikdy neměli dostávat mzdu. Neměl by si mít nárok na žádné ohodnocení ve svém životě. Doufám, že zaměstnavatel tě bude vykořisťovat jako kapitalistická svině. Budeš pobírat minimální mzdu a budeš živořit. To ti přeju.
And you can get a special discount on displays through the link in the description. Also, check out the Big Boss Display store for some cool designs.
Ty vole, já dost, kurva. Koupím Melicharovi tadyhle ten plagát k narozkám. Now, bruda.
Hail to the king.
Aj.
So people are hyped for the game.
Já jsem nebyl nahypovaný.
Over at CD Projekt Red, things aren't going so great. Management says the game is launching in around a year's time, and things weren't moving quite as fast as they'd hoped.
Hele, já jsem rozhodně neviděl, jak v prdeli ten vývoj byl, když jsem si byl zahrát ten Doom Eternal do těch polských kanclů a místo toho, aby tam byl někdo, kdo nám ukáže Doom Eternal, tak tam všichni běhali v těch bomber jacketech Cyberpunku a byl tam obrovský bordel a my jsme si říkali, tyhle, co se děje, ty vole, jsme v CD Projektu, nebo jsme na software prezentaci a ještě než jsme dojeli na letiště, tak už všude na netu bylo, že to odkládají z toho března nebo dubna, kdy to mělo původně vyjít.
Basically just consisted of a few dozen people throwing ideas around. This goes on for but in 2016, the rest of
Zaklínač 3 byl důležitý, byl dobrý díky takže proč to tam nedat?
And most of their work is scrapped right out the game. Okay.
Skvělý.
So the game's story and gameplay concepts are reworked from the ground up. This means that key game elements are either completely changed or outright scrapped. Now the management at CDPR
Metro, ale není to první open world hra, která prohrála proti Metru nebo Nadzemce.
And that meant that it was going to need a lot of work. But that was okay. They had 4 years of development ahead of them. Well managed and executed, this was going to be a breeze.
Ty vole 4 roky Zaklínače udělali určitě za kratší.
4 years later and it's now January 2020. And the game is barely out of alpha. This is just 2 months out from launch.
Oh shit.
Higher-ups realised they should probably actually develop a finished game. So in come CD Projekt Red's management. Wake the fuck up, game devs. We've got a game to crunch.
Je čas crunchovat.
CDPR's PR team come out to the public.
Chlapci, nikdo z developerů neuvidí půl roku svoji rodinu. Sorry, ale musí to být masterpiece.
It was okay. They still had a lot of development on their plate, but now they had more time. If everything goes according to plan, they should be able to get this thing out relatively polished. Sorry fellas, the country's closed. Come back in a few months' time. Dear God. Alright, less than 6 months left of development time and now everyone's working from home. Not exactly ideal. Right boys, we're gonna have to cut some corners here. Multiple apartments? Scrap them. Wall running? Not important. The children? Forget them. See those adults? Downsize them. That looks great. And eventually, after months of crunch and a couple more delays...
Kdo psal? že tyhle dvě hry nejsou jediný open world, který prohráli proti Metru. A napsal Bratislava je jedna z nich. Chat, to je takovej stretch, abyste prostě udělali dis na Slováky, že to ani nedává smysl.
A new release date is in. December 10th, 2020. Early December. The board of directors look at each other, petrified. Their share price had rocketed to over $10 billion, and they were now the most valuable company on the Polish stock exchange. Poland's president calls CDPR. Their entire economy laid on the back of this game's launch. If it was a flop, they'd be executed one by one. They could not cock this up. They couldn't delay again, or they'd miss the holiday sales period.
No to je pravda,
Investors
no.
would be furious. But on the other hand,
To je jako kdyby Spider-Man No Way Home nevyšel na Vánoce.
the game was still a bit rough. They eventually come to a conclusion. Launch the game.
O ne,
Development had taken 7 years and cost $121 million.
to je docela v
But
pohodě.
at last, on December the
Co
10th,
stálo jenom 120 míčů Cyberpunk? Co ti jebe, ty vole, Destiny stálo
Do
půl
piči
miliardy?
nevím dostavat ani jeden tunel. Věž si představit, že by jsme stavali metro.
Nedovedu, no.
$21 million.
To je docela
But at
levný.
last,
Na to, kolik to
on
prodalo
December the
kopií.
10th, the world would finally be able to play Cyberpunk 2077.
Kamo, já si pamatuju, jak jsme čekali na ty klíče, jestli dostaneme early klíče na Cyberpunk. A Oldřich, protože se znal s lidma z CD Projektu a chlastal s něma někde na E3, anebo na Gamescomu, tak ten klíč měl už ve 12 a Čeky si myslel, že ho bude mít taky ve 12. Jenže metla. Sorry, ty klíče prostě nejsou. Ten CD Projekt to má v píči. A Čeky měl v titlu jdu na Cyberpunk a čekal asi prostě 3-4 hodiny, než mu dorazil ten klíč. Přišel tam kraj lesa. Ed check cloud. Ty vole, pro jednou si zhrál na blbečka, prostě, co má inside info, že bude klíč a teďko si pohořel, viď? To bude tím, že nikoho kurva nezajímá tvůj gameplay. Moderátoři, zabanujte krajlese.cz. Permaban. Permaban z těchto reálmů. Ty svoje sračky, permakirlajse, můžeš si psát tyhle sračky u Vojty. To byla nejvtipnější věc při vydání Cyberpunku, dle mého názoru.
December 9th, one day before launch. Early reviews are looking good. YouTubers and review sites aren't actually allowed to use their own game footage in them, which is a
Jo,
bit
to je vždycky
strange.
dobrý znamení.
But they're saying the game does the impossible. It actually lives up to the hype. That was it. People that hadn't already pre-ordered now had no reason to hold back. And the game racks up around 8 million pre-orders.
Ano, když se hra zaplatí jenom v předobědnávkách, tak to zcela jistě nikdy nemůže být katastrofa.
7 years of patience, and almost a year of delays on top. But the wait was finally over. And at 12 AM on December 10th, Cyberpunk launches, and people press play.
Jupi!
Premna aj tak bol najväčší top, keď vyšiel Oblivion a potom Skyrim, ale aj Morrowind som si užil.
Oblivion byl super, no, než tam přišel malinkatý incident, že někoho v Bethesdě napadlo dát jeden malinkatý armor na koně za $5. Určitě to nespustí žádný trend do budoucích open world her.
For PC players with decent rigs, the game runs reasonably well. The story is great, and the graphics are amazing. But stay away
Ten meme, ten Interstellar meme, ty vole, na ten Cyberpunk, co ti jebe. To je, ty vole, to byl takový skvělý memoš normálně. To bylo tak skvělý. Když 10. prosince absolutně netušíš, co tě ještě čeká. Čeká tě dobrá hra, akorát trošku overhypnutá. To je pravda, ale to by nebylo funny, když to řekneš takhle racionálně. Jsme gameři. Buď je ta hra masterpiece 10 z 10, anebo by se vývojáři měli zabít, recenzenti by se měli zabít a prostě už by nikdy neměli vydat hru. Jako sorry, ale jsme gameři. Jsou jenom dva extrémy na internetu, vždycky. Jo, tak prostě je. Buď je Polda 7 masterpiece, anebo už jsem ho dávno ukrát, jsou to píčusové, že za něj chtějí 700, jsou to prostě troubové, už se to zaplatilo na startovači, co po mně vůbec chtějí peníze, ať si políbej prdel.
from the main missions for 5 minutes, and things start to seem off. Walk with me. We're walking around the most believable city in a video game to date, and yet that man barely has a face. Over there. Is he really disabled?
To je ten Twitch streamer.
Does that look normal to you? Look at those people. Anything seem off? Look, a car's supposed to fly? Over there. Is that normal? Your inventory. Open it. That look like a katana to you? Is that really an assault rifle? Were you listening to me? Or were you looking at the man with no head?
Ne, já jsem se dělal na Judy.
More issues. Incredibly broken armor stats means that dressing like a bin man provides more protection.
Ale víš co, já jsem bránil Cyberpunk. Všechny ty bugy, to optimalizaci, všechno jsem bránil, protože pokaždý, co mi zavolala Judy, tak jsem byl šťastný. Než přišel ten moment. Pak se to ve mně zlomilo a ztratil jsem to poslední, co mě drželo nad vodou té hry.
Then a full-blown combat suit? Futuristic bulletproof military armor? Nah, I'm good, son. The game has a detailed crafting system, but there are a few problems. First up, it's incredibly broken.
Ty
Paradox
vole.
je, že při vydání som mal jediný bug zemi, to sem tam nechcelo dat save.
Chat. Je tam už to, že můžete craftit víc věcí naraz, nebo to je furt po jedný?
Every item you pick up or craft on PC adds data to the save file.
Tak to už můžu hrát znova.
However, if that save file exceeds 8 megabytes in size, your save file
Tohle je
is now
metla na
corrupted
tom
and
konu.
completely unplayable. Players with this issue log on to CDPR forums and ask if there's anything they can do to solve or prevent this issue. Eventually, they receive an answer. Just stop playing the game. Okay. The visuals of Cyberpunk are generally amazing.
Jaká chat odpověď od developerů. Moment, vám se rozbíjí hra, když ji hrajete moc. Tak co kdybyste kurva šli ven, vy zasraný loseři, najděte si holku nebo něco.
There are a few issues here as well.
Pana jenom umí dobře řídit. Ne!
See.
Oni udělali low-res burger. Oni udělali low-res burger. Pravděpodobně si mysleli, že když bude mít méně pixelů, tak se zvětší šance, že ho Jarda spapká.
See, even though you never actually see yours in-game, Cyberpunk 2077 grants you a plethora of options for your genitals. But wait,
Penis 2?
And those genitals you've just customized are now clipping through every single pair of trousers you can put on.
To se děje na RP v GTAčku taky.
God. Other visual bugs include headless men, glitchy trees, and a metric ton of T-posing, and more.
Good luck. Got a feeling we'll be...
Okay. That's not funny.
Then there's the console performance. It's not great. In November 2020, CDPR said old-gen consoles were running surprisingly well.
Ano, řekli, běží to překvapivě dobře, ale odmítali, aby recenzenti použili záběry z PS4. To zcela jistě není absolutně sassy.
Just under a month later, we got to find out for ourselves. The population of Night City is decreased to the point
Joker je
where it looks
vyděšený,
almost
jak to
abandoned.
vypadalo.
Graphics are absolutely abysmal, and the resolution bounces from 900p to as low as 720p.
Fuj, jenom HD rozlišení v roce 2020, jsem
barely
znechucen.
manages to hit 25.
Já třeba nehraju vůbec
and
starý
often
hry,
stoops to
pokud
as
mají
low as
škaredou
10.
grafiku.
Then there's the rendering issues, paper mache faces,
Tyvo, ty auta v dálce, to
constant
jsem tam
crashes.
měl taky.
All in all, Cyberpunk 2077 has a few technical issues.
Kolik ještě tam bude fotek těch lidí s brailema?
Early trailers of the game said everything is subject to change, and everything did. Trailers show clubbing and a host of other interactive activities. However, it turns out that about half of that was taken from the game's initial cutscene, and then forgotten about forever.
No!
Trailers also imply drive-by shooting and police pursuits, but neither of those are in the game either. In-game areas and promotional material suggest a massive metro system that you'd use to get around Night City. However,
Mafia 2
all of
incident.
that was cut out and replaced with a fast travel system. A functioning metro system has since been modded into the game.
Ne, asi
Thousands
modeři
plus
to prostě to
NPCs
udělal
with their own
celou zátek.
routines are replaced with walking potatoes that literally despawn from the world the second they leave your field of view. They only have one piece of dialogue, can't defend themselves, and seemingly have no driving AI. or any AI
I
at all.
naraz synchronizovaně vystoupili, jak kdyby to byl začátek La La Landu, když tam tancujou na té dálnici.
It's not really a thing. Shoot someone in the back of the skull with no one else around for miles.
Spawn
Unlucky.
podu
2
na
cops have just
střeše.
spawned right behind your back.
No jistě.
In any other game, that'd normally be an issue. But in Cyberpunk, literally just run 5 seconds away from them and they'll completely despawn from the world. Nice. Got a car?
Nice.
Even better, because cops in this game can't even enter a vehicle.
We're waiting.
Also, about the far-reaching player backstories, well, they only really change the first few minutes of the game.
No,
They
no.
also add a few unique dialogue options, but they have little to no effect on anything. Then there's the wall running, cut, multiple apartments, gone, non-linear missions.
Pičo.
There's one or
Takový
two
pěkný
in there.
penthouse.
NPC routines, explorable buildings. Okay. So the game doesn't have all the features in the trailers and articles.
Jako
But it
dělali
doesn't stop
seznam
there.
na Redditu všeho,
The
co tam
game's
chybí.
baseline features are, well, subpar. So subpar that multiple videos are uploaded to YouTube, showcasing how Saints Row 2, GTA
Víš co,
San
jakoby,
Andreas,
hele, řízení
even Half-Life
Cyberpunku
1's
je na hovno,
cockroach AI is
ale
more
je tam
advanced.
rádio, který má bangry.
Okay. At this point, it was clear. There was only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna ask for a refund.
Wow. Sorry, ale tohle je absolutně perfektní. Tohle je shrnutí Cyberpunku. První měsíc po vydání, vyloženě v 5 sekundách od samotných developerů. To je kurva perfektní. Ascended Johnny Silverhand.
Refunds, refunds, refunds. Refunds everywhere. CDPR is hit with a meteoric shower of refunds. And the game is in such a terrible state that, against their own general policies, Xbox and PlayStation actually allow them. By the way, PlayStation has to literally remove the game from their online store to
No, víte, kterou hru neodstranili? GTA Remastered trilogii.
do this. Naturally, the game is memed into oblivion, and CDPR is dragged through the gutter
Fallout
in the press
76
and
taky
online
ne,
for
by the
months
way.
to come. A few pieces of CDPR's marketing also becomes a lot
Tohle je doslova jak něco, co by napsal na Elon Musk na Twitter.
more relevant. CDPR's stock price also absolutely cratered. and
Kamo,
falls
sorry ty vole, ale jako vždycky ty vole budou stonks absolutně na vrchu, když ta hra vychází, tady máš prostě prodat a odkupovat pak níž. Ježíš, tu vole, kdo tohle nečekal.
% in a matter of weeks. Dear God, those investors do not look happy. They filed several class action lawsuits instantly. Nevertheless, the game still sells a ton of copies, and
Yep.
massive bonuses are dished out to management within a few months.
Jenom managementu?
However, a few weeks later, and CD Projekt's PR team comes out of the shadows. Okay, yeah, the game's a bit rough. Here's a roadmap of how we're going to fix it. That roadmap slowly changes over time as CDPR fail to hit deadline after deadline, but over the next
Tohle je mimochodem úplně to samé posouvání roadmapu je tady někde, je vydání v Zaklínač 3 PS5 verze updatenutý.
gonna fix it. That roadmap slowly
Hoši, teď už to
changes
fakt
over
vyjde.
time,
Ok, možná za půl
CDPR
roku.
failed
Hele,
to
teď
hit
už
deadline
fakt,
after
jakoby,
deadline,
hele, někde
but
to,
over the next
ne,
few
my to
months,
zvládneme.
patches are added and the game slowly improves. Is that actual NPC AI? My God. It
O
takes
můj
6
bože, to je
full
Bam
months of
Margera. Z
patches.
jakýho klipu, čet? Kdo to řekne první, správně, má Saba. Já čekám. Čet, jako vážně? Jako vážně? No to snad ne. To snad ne. Ty vole, ani jeden člověk. Je to ten song z Bloodhound Gang. Kurva, konečně to má první člověk správně. Ale má Saba už. No ty vole, hoši, já mám dost.
But the game is eventually stable enough to be added back to the PlayStation Store. CD Projekt Red have since scaled back their plans for multiplayer, and are still patching the game to this day.
Ty opice klip není film. No teď jo, však říkám, z jakého klipu to je.
Projekt Red continues the slow rollout of updates in an attempt to restore the game to its original promise. But whether or not Cyberpunk is ever patched to the point it resembles the trailers of the game, one thing is certain. Gamers are done. While there has been the odd redemption, CD Projekt Red was the last straw.
Chad, hele, No Man's Sky po 5 letech, masterpiece. Cyberpunk
no more hype trains,
bude za 2 roky taky
no
klasika.
More anything. The lies were not going to work again.
Věřte mi, jo, věřte mi. Vždycky to chce jenom trošku času.
He whispers something in their ear about being 4 times the size.
Ne.
How could they resist?
Ne. O můj bože. Chat. O můj bože. On se vrátí v červnu. On se vrátí. Víte, že už to bylo oznámený. V červnu je Bethesda Microsoft konference. On se vrátí. On v červnu přijde a řekne nám o Starfieldu. On už je na cestě ze šachového klubu. On přijde v červnu. Rozmrazej ho, aby představil Starfield. A řekl, že ho odkládají na příští rok. Podívej se na něj, je tak ty rostomilé kudrlinky. Jak by si mu mohl nevěřit? Jak je možný, že ještě nemáš předobědnaný Starfield?
They'd won again, and they'll keep winning, because they know how to sell you a game, whether or not it's the same game that comes out at launch.
Bethesda by se měla schovat, už 11 let čekáme na Elder Scrolls 6.
Ne. But the truth is, the games are rigged from the start.
Proč moje oblíbená videohra, proč moje oblíbená společnost nedělá jenom jednu sérii furt dokola? No to snad ne. 11 let čekáte na Elder Scrolls, to je roztomilý. Tool fanoušci čekali 13 let na nový album, jo? Takže hele, ještě máte 2 roky, pak můžete být otravný retardi, jako Tool fanoušci. Takže tak, my čekáme na GTA 6, tak to nečekáš ještě tak dlouho, to je 2013, to je v pohodě. Tak mi do Vyspu pošli, prosím tě, to číslo na Steamu, se kterým si tě můžu přidat do mých internetových přátel. Jo?